Adam, you've come a long way to do your Masters of Music. Why did you decide to come halfway around the world to study at the Elder Conservatorium?
Well, it's actually a mix of two different reasons. The first one, of course, is this course that I'm studying. I looked into lots of master's courses, both in Australia and in the UK. And out here I can do what's called a Master's in Performance by Research, which is where I have to do research through the medium of performance. Now, it's a strange concept that even I have to admit I have to keep reminding myself about sometimes, that I am researching when I'm performing. So that's the first reason. The second reason is ever since I was very young, I've always wanted to come out to Australia. And my dad was born and grew up in Melbourne, and he moved over when he was 22, so the same age that I am now. So I'm doing the reverse of what he's doing. And so combining moving out here and study just seemed the natural way to do it, really. And like I said, because the course is so fantastic out here and very different to what I can get in the UK, it was an opportunity I couldn't turn down, really.
Who's your supervisor?
My principal supervisor is Dr. Mark Carroll, who's the research dean at the Elder Conservatorium, and I also have Philip Hall, who's the principal horn in the ASO. He's my teacher and my secondary supervisor.
So from him you get the sort of link to the actual performance that you were talking about earlier on with the Welsh opera.
That's right. I'm actually playing with the Adelaide Symphony Orchestra in a few weeks' time as well, so I'm really looking forward to doing that. It'll be the first time since I've done it since I've been out here. Can
you tell us a little bit about your study? What is it that you're actually doing to obtain a Master of Music in Performance?
I have to research through performance. Now that involves lots of practice, and I'm take an element of performance and I have to come up with new and innovative ways of doing it. And it's really exciting. I have to spend a lot of time practicing and doing various experiments as well. I try lots of things in different ways. My project is actually involved on the natural horn, which is how the French horn was in about 1750.
This is the one without valves?
The one without valves, yeah, the natural horn. So I'm actually learning or advancing my technique on the natural horn. I've been doing it for a few years now, but I'm just really sort of getting into it now.
Well, quite quickly, what's involved in playing a horn?
The first thing with a French horn is it's all done using the lips. With all wind instruments, you have to use your lips. Now, it's incredibly precious things. If I get a split lip, then that's my job is over for the best part of a week. So we have to do that, and then there are 3 valves that we press, and each valve lengthens the horn by a certain amount, and that's how we get different pitches. But as there are only 3 valves, we only have 7 different combinations, so that suggests that we have to change what our lips do in order to produce all the different notes, because we've got a range of over 4 octaves, which is one of the largest in any orchestral instrument.
You're researching the sort of natural and the valved horns. What's the biggest difficulty a horn player has?
Perhaps the biggest difficulty is the horn can be quite an unstable instrument at times, and it takes many hours, many years, in fact, of hard practice to have any sort of control over it. And even then, it can still jump up and surprise you every now and again by doing not quite what you expect it to do.
It can play the wrong note.
It can play the wrong note, yes. It's nothing to do with me. It's all the horn's fault whenever I play wrong notes.
Yes. Piano's easy, and a stringed instrument is really relatively easy once again, because it's once your finger's down there, it's all right.
Well, piano definitely. Strings, there's a bit more leeway because they don't have frets, unlike a guitar. But yeah, it's very difficult. It's quite an organic instrument to play in the sense that the notes lie very close together, and it's you're living on a knife edge a lot of the time. If you go 1 or 2% the wrong way, then it's had you. You've got play something really wrong.
It's a tense matter when you're performing.
Oh, so, it can be if you let it become one. The other big difficulty we have, of course, is the range. We can go very, very low to incredibly high. I'm doing a musical coming up soon where I have to go for, I think it's over 2 octaves within the space of a beat, which is quite a challenge for any musician, especially horn players.
And this is a change in lip tension, is it?
Yeah, it's a change in lip tension and valves, and you've got to change the amount of air you use. There's so much involved in it, and you've got to do it without thinking, really.
And it's got to be a smooth change, I suppose.
Yeah, that always helps, unless the composer says otherwise, of course.
As a cello player, of course, I always think the cello is the sort of basis of orchestral music. We're right down at the foundations. What's the part of the there's a horn play in a symphony orchestra?
Well, that's quite a difficult one to pin down, actually. My first French horn teacher actually described it very well, and he said that we play the middle, which is a strange concept, but we play and we fill out a lot of the sound that without that the orchestra sounds pretty thin and pretty bare. But then, of course, we can come out of the texture and play these wonderful solos. You listen to any soundtrack for any film, and you'll hear the French horn thumping away. Yeah. Then we can disappear right back into the background, and almost instantly. Yeah. So it's quite a special role, and of course we have to blend with so many instruments as well. We can be a brass instrument and a woodwind instrument both at the same time, which is quite a difficult skill to master.
Yeah, I guess from what you're saying there is you're providing some of the texture.
Yes, definitely.
Within the sound
definitely
that comes.
And that's one of the reasons that drew me to the French horn as well, is that the parts are just so interesting. You're not always playing the melody or always playing the bass line. You get a real mix of everything. And,
of course, the other thing is that when a horn lets go, it's loud.
Oh, it can be very loud. Oh. Very, very loud. You ask anyone that I live with and they'll know how loud I can play.
What's your plans for the future?
In a nutshell, I'd like to make a living playing the horn, whether that is in an orchestra or as a chamber musician or what have you. I don't mind, really. I'm quite happy to do anything. I just know that I enjoy playing the French horn, so I'd like to stick with that. I'd like to stay out in Australia for a little while. I do miss my family, of course, but it's lovely weather out here and it's very nice lifestyle, so who knows. Depends where the jobs are, unfortunately.
Oh, we'd love to have you for a bit longer out here and have you playing in some of our orchestras. But at this stage, we've got to stop because we're running out of time. We'll have a little more music. What will we listen to this time?
Okay, well, we're going to go out in style. This is the final movement in Stravinsky's Firebird Suite, which was written, I think it was about 1910. The reason I chose it is it opens with the most amazing horn solo, but then it goes into real jubilation as the ballet comes to a close.
Yes, this is the exciting horn.
Oh, very exciting horn, but scary horn as well.
Well, thanks very much for coming on and talking to us and giving us that information about the French horn. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.